Hello there. Welcome to my show, COVID-19 update by Heerak. As you know, I'm running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. That's Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and Fairfax County in Northern Virginia that borders Washington, D.C. Um, yeah, so yeah, vote for me on November 8th, 2022, 2 years from now. What I call 2 years of COVID-19. We're going to have COVID-19 every day for 365 days a year for 2 years, right? Majority of the healthcare experts are saying that COVID-19 is going to last at least until end of 2022, if not longer. As you know, I believe that it will last for decades because it's a 365 days a year virus. It's never going to go away. Like viruses that go away are like seasonal, you know? But COVID-19 is on a seasonal virus. It's 365 days a year. You know, people maintain it. So it's going to keep going on and on. You know, um, we say, wow, 11 million Americans are infected. But actually, there are 330 million Americans, which means at this rate of infection, it's going to be forever because we have little babies being born every year too, right? And they're going to grow. So there are new people to infect. And there are people who have not been infected yet. So they have to be infected. So there's never going to be herd immunity that develops, at this rate. It's too slow. Um, yeah, for herd immunity to develop, it has to spread much faster, at this at this slow rate of spreading throughout America. I mean, it seems fast because we have like 1,000 to 1,500 people die every day. But remember, we're a country of 330 million Americans. So if only 1,000 people are dying every day, nobody's going to develop any herd immunity. It's not going to happen. The rate is too slow. Um, yeah, so yeah, it is a lot. You don't want anybody to die. But if you want to develop herd immunity, you need to have like 30,000 people dying every day, minimum. It has to spread like million people per day. You know what I mean? So I mean, obviously, to develop herd immunity, a lot of people will end up dying. So I mean, I don't support herd immunity because you could lose up to like 1/3 of your population by the time you have herd immunity. Which for America would be like 100 million Americans dead. I mean, do you really want to develop herd immunity by losing 1/3 of your population? Because for herd immunity to develop, you have to have over like 60% of the people infected, and maybe like much higher than that. I mean, which means you're going to have a resulting death rate of like up to 100 million people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know if you want that. You know what I'm saying? Because how many hospitals are going to be able to handle that, right? That kind of rate of infection, that kind of rate of death. It will be impossible for anybody to handle it. So it seems like it's spreading fast, and it is, but not fast enough to develop herd immunity. So just abandon any idea of developing herd immunity. It's not going to happen at this speed. This speed of death, this speed of infections. Because death and infections go hand in hand. More cases equal more death, right? So obviously, there are several ways to survive. Vaccine doesn't seem to be one of the ways to survive COVID-19, unfortunately. There are three reasons for that. Number one, every healthcare expert now understands enough about COVID-19 to say that there's no vaccine that's going to give you lifelong immunity. Like if you get 3 shots for hepatitis B virus, you don't have to get hepatitis B virus vaccine again ever in your life. You know what I'm saying? There are vaccines that you take, maybe 1 shot or 2 shots or 3 series. Once you get them, you're immune for life. Most healthcare experts, if not all, say COVID-19 is not like that. Any vaccine that develops at best, even if it's 100% working, will only give you immunity for a very short period of time. And they're not even sure how short. It could be days, it could be weeks, it could be months. So there isn't a healthcare expert who says you will have lifelong immunity. And most healthcare experts don't even say you're going to have immunity for 1 year. Do you know that your flu vaccine that you take, I hope everybody took their flu vaccine. I took my flu vaccine. It's well vetted, and so you could trust flu vaccines. The flu vaccine that you take only protects you for like 4 months or 5 months. So if you got your flu vaccine in October, it protects you like October, November, December, January, maybe February, maybe up to March, 4 or 5 months. It doesn't fully protect you because some people do get the flu, even though they have a vaccine, but it's time tested and it's known to kind of have a pretty good effectiveness. It's not like COVID, it's completely new. People don't understand COVID. Flu's been around for like hundreds of years in the Western civilization, if not longer than that. So they had like decades, if not more than a decade, like century to study this thing. COVID-19 is completely different, it's completely new. So they didn't have any time to study it at all, really. The one that COVID-19, the one that's like killing everybody. Um, so even if the vaccine works, though if as effectively as the flu vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine works as effectively as flu vaccine, let's pretend it will only protect you for 4 months, 5 months. Which means COVID-19 is a 365 days a year virus. You'd have to get the shot 3 times a year. That's presupposing that these shots will work, if you take it 3 times a year. The chances are it's not going to work. So this is a completely new territory for vaccine makers and scientists. They just don't know how to handle this. Because at least the Spanish flu of 1918, it acted like a flu. It came with the flu season, it went out with the flu season, right? But none of the vaccines they created worked then in 1918 or 1919. But yeah, they gave vaccines, mass vaccines all over America. It didn't work. Some people say it might have, maybe contributed to greater number of deaths around the world. Because like a lot of countries are like giving vaccines, and first flu season, you didn't have that many deaths. Second flu season, you had like over 50, like almost like 50 million deaths. So some people blame the fake vaccines or vaccines that didn't work as compromising people's immunity to the extent that they died in large numbers. Because vaccines, nobody knows if it really works, but it can compromise your immunity. Nobody really knows what the rebound tenderness could be, or there are some blood pressure medications where one of the side effects is that you get higher blood pressure. You know that? Like there are several medications where the side effect, one of the things that go wrong, it doesn't always happen, but things that go wrong is what it's meant to treat, it actually aggravates. Um, like there are medications that's supposed to lower your heart rate. One of the side effects can be it actually raises the heart rate. Yeah, that's it doesn't happen to everybody, but it's one of the side effects of medication. So vaccines, nobody really know how vaccines are going to work in terms of COVID-19. So one of the side effects can be that it could actually make you more vulnerable to COVID-19. No one knows yet, right? No one really knows all the side effects of COVID-19 because you're going to be the guinea pig who's going to show scientists what the side effects are. That's why I don't want to take a vaccine, COVID vaccine, for the next 2 years because I don't want to be the guinea pig. I hope nobody forces me to take it. You have these like socialist, liberal, progressive, fascists, um, commies, who socialist commies want to force you to take the vaccine. I'm like, hey, you take the vaccine. I want to watch you for 2 years and see what happens. And if it's okay, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? I think any government that forces people to take the vaccine is a totalitarian regime, and I would encourage everybody to like rise up against any government that will force you to take the vaccine, because they don't have it's your body. Just tell them, stay off my body. Why should they like force you to take a vaccine you don't want to take, right? It's your body. You're not a slave, right? The government cannot say, hey, you take the vaccine because you are a slave. You are our biatch. So we are going to force you to take our vaccine. No government has the right to do that, right? I mean, if this is a fully vetted vaccine, even then, no government has the right to force you to take the vaccine. Even flu vaccine, United States government does not force you to take the flu vaccine, even though every year you have like tens of thousands of people who die from flu. You have children dying from flu, elderly dying from flu, but nobody forces you to take the flu vaccine, right? Because it's a free country. It's your body. If you don't want the vaccine, you have the right not to take it. I mean, I think it's unwise not to take flu vaccine because flu vaccine has been well vetted um, and proven to be effective. But it's your choice. You do what you want. This is a free country. It's not a communist China. It's not a communist Cuba. It's not a communist Venezuela. You do what you want. It's not a communist North Korea. Government can tell you to like take the vaccine that you don't want to take because you're injecting that into your body, right? And COVID-19 is not even flu vaccine. Flu vaccine is vetted. It's time tested. COVID-19 is like new. I mean, government has no right to force you to take a COVID-19 vaccine. That's like what communist China will force its citizens to do. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I'm like, yeah, rise up against any government who tries to force you to take any vaccine that you don't want to take. Um, but I mean, except for vaccines that work. I mean, I have to be honest here. I do support vaccines, but I don't think government should like force you to take a vaccine that has not been vetted. I mean, like, so I'm going to use the flu as an example. Um, I mean, I do believe that there should be a strong encouragement to take vaccines. Like, you know, um, so I do support vaccines. So it's a hard thing, because I do support vaccines, and there are diseases that where vaccines are proven to work. So I could it's hard. It's hard, but when certainly I think I can use the example flu as a reason to say why governments must not force people to take COVID-19 vaccine. You know what I mean? So let's kind of disengage ourselves from the whole discussion of vaccines. Um, and let's focus on like the flu vaccine, because there are I believe in vaccines actually, but I still don't believe that government should force everybody to take vaccines they don't want to take. Um, because I believe in human autonomy. If you don't want to take a vaccine and take the risk and die, I think it's unwise. But I still don't think that I have the right to force you to take the vaccine. Do you know what I mean? Because it's your life, it's your body. Um, so you have a choice. You know, Obviously, I don't think you should choose death by not taking vaccine, but you're not like killing yourself with a knife. It's not like you don't take a vaccine that you'll definitely die. Some people don't die without taking any vaccines. They have no problem. They survive, they live. There are a lot of people around the world, in the third world, they don't take vaccine because they don't have the money or they don't have healthcare services. And many of them survive and live a long and healthy life without any vaccines. Obviously, I believe the vaccines are important, and I would encourage you to take vaccines that are vetted. But I don't think any government should force you to take vaccine. It doesn't matter if they're Republican government. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat government. It doesn't matter if they're conservative government in UK, in England, Scotland, Wales, or Northern Ireland, or Labour government, or UKIP, United Kingdom Independence Party, or any party. I don't think anybody has the right to force you to take a vaccine that you don't want to take because it's your body, and they can't like force you to take risks, right? We don't know what the risks are from taking vaccines. They can't force you to take a risk with your own body. Once it's injected, I mean, it can't be undone. So for me, Heerak Christian Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress for just 8th district, I'm, thinking about running as a Republican because it's easier, having the party behind you, it helps you win elections. So I mean, I'm considering running as a Republican in the primaries. I mean, I'm sure I'll win in the primaries for Republican Party, and then run with the Republican Party. Maybe I could make Republican Party according to my own image. My vision for the Republican Party. You know, uh, there's a lot of sharing with Trump, but there are some significant key differences too. If you've been watching the show, I've talked about it. Um, yeah, let's see. I think I can lead Republican Party. I'm a born leader. I'm used to leading people, so yeah, I'll be happy to lead the Republican Party. Um, but let's see. I'm going to pray about it. But I don't think any party, Republican or Democrat, should force anybody to take a vaccine. This is what I don't like about Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden has a tyrant, despot streak in him. I could see like Joe Biden passing a national executive order to force everybody to take a vaccine. I could see that happening because Joe Biden, the way he's talking now about a national mandate, for like masks. I believe in wearing a mask, but I don't think everybody should be forced to do anything. Certainly not at the national level. At the state level, I think it makes more sense because the governors can deal with governors of a state are generally you know each state has its own character, right? Virginia, we were a confederacy in Civil War, and so majority of the Virginians are descended from Confederate soldiers. That's majority of Virginia. So we have a character as a state. Um, and if you're in Massachusetts, there's also character for the state of Massachusetts, and so each state has its history and character. So like governor making a decision for his or her own state makes sense. There's a kind of shared experience, shared culture. There's a culture of Virginia. There's a culture of Georgia, which is different. There are similarities, but there's a culture of Minnesota, which is different from like culture of like Pennsylvania. Each state has a culture. That kind of is shared by majority of the people in the state. Not maybe not everybody, majority. And so there's a cultural sharing, historical sharing, um, even ethnic sharing to a certain extent. Like we talk about Minnesota being like Germanic or Scandinavian, right? Um, and we talk about these things, and there's certain truth to these in terms of demographics, right? In terms of census and statistics. Um, so yeah, when governors make decisions, it makes a little bit more sense. I mean, I still object to governors mandating masks for everybody everywhere, because as I said, if you're walking alone at nighttime in the street and you're not wearing a mask, if the governor passes statewide mandate for masks to be worn everywhere all the time, then the police can stop you and ticket you. And I think that's just wrong. I think governments have right to say whenever you are in a government building, you must wear a mask. I think governments have the right to do that, just like any private company can say whenever you are at Walmart, you must wear a mask. They have the right to do that. It's their store. Um, but I don't think like any governor, like in Virginia, Ralph Northam. I don't think Ralph Northam has the right to say everybody must wear a mask all the time, wherever they are. I just disagree with that because I think that is like we live in a democracy. We live in a country that is free, and that's like taking your personal freedom away. I mean, yes, I think people should be careful with their life, but are you going to outlaw bungee jumping? Are you going to outlaw scuba diving? I will never go scuba diving because it's too dangerous, in my opinion. You wear a little gear, it could malfunction, and you're underwater. It's like 100% certain death. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I think it's crazy, but I have friends who love scuba diving, and none of them have died. None of my friends have died from scuba diving. Um, I joke around and say you're gonna die one day, from scuba diving, But people have been scuba diving, and none of them that I know have died. Maybe some people have died. And so but I think scuba diving is risky. But they have the right to do that. So do you see what I'm saying? But I mean, I've heard of cases where people who scuba dive die. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that with masks. Yes, I would recommend you wear a mask. I would encourage everybody in Virginia to wear a mask when they are around people. That's what I would do. But I don't think by law we should force anybody to wear a mask everywhere. Do you see what I'm saying? That is just too communist for me. That's what communist countries do. They like try to use laws to force you to do things. That's why I don't want Biden to be president for the next 4 years, because he's going to be passing laws after laws, and we have to like do things we don't want to do. Because like Biden is like a socialist. And that's why I don't like Biden. I mean, there are other things, other reasons why I don't like Biden, but primary reason relating to COVID-19 is I think Democrats have this like nasty socialist communist dictatorship streak. They want to force you to like wear a mask. They want to force you to get a vaccine. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I mean, if a vaccine works after 2 years, yeah, I'll take it. Like after 2 years, I see people not dying from the vaccines and it seems to work, then I'll take it. Like in the year 2022, but I'm not taking it for the next 2 years unless I have to. You know, um, but but I don't think like everybody should be forced to take the vaccine that nobody is 100% certain about. I mean, that's the kind of thing communist countries do. They like experiment on their citizens. What makes us different, United States of America different, is that we can do what we want. We can own a gun if we want. I don't own a gun, but I support Second Amendment. I don't own a gun partly because I'm a poet. I'm a lover, not a fighter. You know what I'm saying? um, but I mean, I respect people's right to own guns, semi-automatics. If you want a semi-automatic, great. Some people live in a boondock, rural area, Hicksville, and I mean, there's like no police officers around. They need more than a pistol to protect themselves. Who knows what kind of hooligans will come around in their neighborhood? I mean, you call 911, you wait like 3 hours for the police to get there. Yeah, I'm like, give every one of them like semi-automatics. This is America. American citizens should be allowed to protect themselves from trespassers, from rapists, from killers, from robbers. So that's why I support Second Amendment. I think everybody have the right to own guns. I don't own a gun. I don't really have any desire to own a gun, but I do want to marry like a woman in uniform, and hopefully she owns a lot of guns and knows how to use them, so she could protect me and the family. But if not, then if I end up marrying someone and I have children, I'll probably get a gun, because I would have to protect my children. It's not about me anymore. It's about my children and my wife and my family. So hopefully, I'll marry somebody who's like in uniform or FBI or CIA agent or someone who knows how to use that stuff. So I don't have to like touch the guns. But I mean, obviously to protect my future children and future wife, I'll do it. But I'm single. I've never been married. I've never no children. So, I'm like, if I meet a robber and robber wants to rob me, I'll give him whatever he wants. And if he wants to shoot me, then I go to heaven. I don't. I'm not gonna stress out about it. You know, but I mean, I think everybody have the right to kill people who want to kill them. I think that's a biblical concept is self-defense. You value your own life to protect your own life, and obviously you may not want to take another person's life, but if that person wants to take your life, and taking that person's life is necessary for defending your life, you have the right to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? That's why from a Christian perspective, as you know, I'm an expert of Christian theology. From a Christian perspective, killing someone who's about to kill you, so killing someone in self-defense, it's not murder. It's not breaking the Ten Commandments. It's justified homicide. Um, and that's been around for 2,000 years of Christian tradition. Like, there are pastors in America, reverend, who preached with a sidearm, like in Wild Wild West, because, they have bandits and they had like Native Americans sometimes come and slaughter the whole American villages. I mean, you read about these. This is part of American history. It actually happened. So like when preachers preach, they and people go to church in Wild Wild West, they wear a sidearm, just in case like the Indians come with their bow and arrows and start shooting at people. I mean, they start using guns and killing people. Because, whole villages, American villages of US citizens have been killed by Indians, Native Americans. Um, I mean, people try to make Native Americans look innocent, but Native Americans have committed genocide against, villages, like US citizen towns. It's not like they're all like friendly, you know what I'm saying? Um, so, I'm just talking about history here. So yeah, I mean, to defend your children, you have the right to kill whoever is trying to hurt your children, or kill them. Someone who comes into your home to rob your family, they may end up killing you. Because you have a domino effect, right? They may not intend to kill you when they rob your home, but you see that they're robbing your home, and then they get all nervous and they can stab you to death. These things happen. So anybody who invades your home, I think you have the right to shoot them dead. And like anybody who trespasses your home, you have the right to kill them. And this is defended by Christian theology. It's not sin to kill a robber who's inside your home trespassing. It's not sin. Um, and so that's been a Christian theology for 2,000 years. That's the normative Christian theology for 2,000 years. So yeah, you have the right to bear arms. I mean, and I think if you're a father and have children, you should definitely get a gun. I think it's part of your duty as a father to protect your children from like trespassers, rapists, murderers, robbers. So I think a father who doesn't have a gun in his home to protect his children, I think it's just a bad father. That's how I see it. But you're allowed to disagree with me. This is America; it's a free country. It's just my opinion, and obviously, I'm running for U.S. Congress, so vote for me if you agree with me. And that's November 8, 2022. Um, I think I'm being rational here. I think majority of the people in Virginia's 8th District, Arlington, Alexandria Falls Church, and Fairfax County will agree with me on this point. I think they see it as a rational thing. I mean, I'm not telling you to get a gun and start killing people. No, I'm just saying if somebody invades your home to try to rape your 15-year-old daughter, just shoot that guy like between the eye. You know what I'm saying? Before he rapes her, right? I mean, you don't have a gun in the house. He's going to rape her. What are you going to do? She's traumatized for life. You should have had a gun. You see what I mean? That you see why I'm saying you're a bad father? You don't have a gun because you can prevent trauma from happening to your children in certain cases, right? Because you call 911, they're not going to come right away. Um, so if you're a father, you have an obligation to protect your children, not just from death, but from like psychological trauma that could happen if you have a bandit coming or some crazy guy coming in, with intent to rape or harm, or kill. I mean, there are crazy people out there. And that's why I would support your right to have an assault rifle in your home. Like every Virginian should have the right to have an assault rifle in their home. Because, I mean, what are you going to do? Take out your pistol, shoot one at a time? You know what I mean? If there are like five guys, like, evil people travel in packs, right? If there are five guys with guns, what are you going to shoot one person at a time? No, you can have a semi-automatic and just like shoot five of them at once. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being practical here. I mean, obviously, hopefully, you never encounter that kind of situation. But if you do, what good is a gun if you can't protect the family with it? That's why semi-automatic pistol, rifle, is something that is like a requirement for every father to have, and obviously get training in it, in gun safety and everything. Just learn to use it and protect. Learn to use it and understand the safety around it. But anyway, yeah, this is why I don't like Biden because he wants to take guns away from American citizens, make them completely like helpless. Um, and he wants to force you to take a vaccine that may damage you. Like no one knows whether it's going to damage you or not. What the side effects are. And this is why I don't like Biden. It's like so I think good people should fight all they can to make sure Biden doesn't get inaugurated in January, like recount all the votes in like 5, 6 states to make sure that Biden doesn't get inaugurated in January. I think that's like necessary for the safety of American people. And Biden did not really win yet. It's like a narrow margin in every state, so I think like if you recount it, President Trump probably beat him in these states. So But I guess it's a wish, right? Like, do you want to be like living in America where you're forced to get a vaccine, like because Biden is president? Do you want to live in America where like you're forced to wear a mask when you're walking alone at night, like when nobody's around, or you get ticketed like $300? I mean, what kind of America do you want to live in? I mean, this is what I'm saying. I think it's an important thing for everybody to fight against Biden's inauguration. I mean, that's how I feel personally. Obviously, I'm a lifelong Republican, and I believe in freedom, your freedom to own a gun, your freedom to protect your family, your freedom not to get a vaccine. If you don't want to get a vaccine, it's your body. Stay off your body. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Stay off your body. It's your body. Um, yeah. So I think you should fight to make sure Biden doesn't get inaugurated. Like fight meaning like organize to make sure the votes are recounted. Write a letter to the governor. Write a letter to the attorney general. You know, donate money to the Trump campaign to have enough money to launch a recount, a lawsuits. So these are this is what I mean when I said fight. I think it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican. I think it's in your interest to make sure Biden doesn't get inaugurated. Because like there are a lot of Democrats who think that they will like Biden. Let's see how much you like Biden when they force you by law to take a vaccine you don't want to take. You become a slave, right? You're like an experiment. You're like a lab rat. You think you're gonna like that? Really? I mean, you might have voted for Biden, but do you think you really like that kind of existence for the next 4 years? Being a lab rat? You know what I'm saying? So that's a decision you have to make. You're free. You're not a slave. You make the decision you want to make, right? Um, yeah, for me, I don't want to be a slave. I don't want to be Biden's slave. I don't want Biden to keep like whip me, like, oh, here's a whip. Oh, you take the vaccine or you're going to pay a fine. I mean, geez, this is a free country. If I wanted that kind of treatment, I would have immigrated to China, for God's sake. I immigrated to America with my family. I mean, I was a little kid, but my parents immigrated to America because they don't want to live in a country where like they're forced to take a vaccine if they don't want to take it, like untested vaccine that could have side effects or adverse effects. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there are over 100 people, 100 nationalities represented in Arlington. That's what they escaped from, right? They don't want to be in a country where they're forced to do things which could harm them, right? Which is not against their interest. It goes against the American way. American way is you do what's in your interest. Like President Trump says he's going to bring vaccines, but he doesn't say he's going to force everybody to take the vaccine, right? So that's why people like Trump because I mean he has his work-free vaccine. I mean I don't think any of them will work, but you know, uh, Trump is trying to help American people. He has a good heart, right? He loves American people. So he's trying to help American people. And I think American people understand that Trump loves them. I disagree with Trump. I don't think it will work. But, I appreciate his heart. I understand his intention is to help Americans. And it's a good intention, and I think most Americans, even Democrats, um, understand that about Trump. They understand that he wants to help them. Um, but I don't like Biden. I don't get the feeling that Biden wants to help people. I get the feeling that Biden wants to like be king. He wants to like force us to do things that we don't want to do. That's the feeling I get. Trump is like he will do what he could to help you, but he's gonna leave the choice to you. Like if you want to take the vaccine, great. If you don't want to take the vaccine, great. Trump is not like gonna force you to take the vaccine like Biden will. And this is why I don't want Biden to be president. And I hope that you will join me in resisting Biden's ascendancy to dictatorship in America. Because I'm like 99% sure Biden will become a dictator for the next 4 years, taking away your freedom one after another. And I'm like 80% sure that even Democrats who voted for him will regret it, right? Because of that. Because who wants to be a slave, right? Who wants their body to be messed around with by a government? Whether it's vaccine or whether it's a mask, what I'm saying? Um, I mean, I like to wear a mask because it protects me from COVID. But I mean, I do it because I want to. You know what I'm saying? Not because like the government has issued the law saying I have to. You know what I mean? I mean, you know what I'm saying. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. We are free. Freedom is so important. What did Patrick Henry say? Give me liberty or give me death. There are a lot of people in America, both Democrats and Republicans. They rather die than be forced to do something that they don't want to do. Even if it helps them, like wearing a mask or getting a vaccine. Coercion itself is considered evil in America. And I think Joe Biden doesn't understand that. There are a lot of liberal progressives who are like, they consider themselves benign paternalists. Benign paternalism is a type of racism, right? Like they think they know better than us. And it goes back to like white privilege and white supremacy, right? It's like we know better than you, so we're gonna come to Asia and force you to do things differently because we know better than you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what colonialism is. So what I call neo-colonialism is what Joe Biden is trying to do. He's trying to like force like minorities in America to conform to his vision of, marriage that completely disagrees with like third world country vision of marriage. For example, you know what I'm saying? He's trying to like remake us because he thinks like he knows better. And that's what I call white privilege. Like Joe Biden thinks like he's better because like his ways are better. And his ways are like white liberal progressive ways. You know what I'm saying? It's very offensive. Like Joe Biden is like the most offensive person in America right now. Because the way he talks, I mean, just watch him on TV and watch the way he talks. He's so like white supremacist. He's like, I'm better than you. You guys are gonna do what I want you to do. I'm like, what the heck? What the heck? I mean, geez, Korean history goes back 5,000 years. You're telling me like 5,000 years of civilization is like worthless? Like, like you know better than me. You know better than all the Korean people. You know all the better than like Filipinos and Chinese and Vietnamese. These cultures that go like thousands of years. You know what I'm saying? And we have like 100 immigrants. All of them, most of them come from civilizations that go a long way back. And so, like, I just don't like the way like Biden treats everyone. Like, like he's like better than everybody. Like everybody's gonna wear a mask. Like he knows it all. I mean, he's like dictatorial. He's not like asking you to wear a mask. He's gonna like command you to wear a mask because Joe Biden is King Biden. You know what I mean? I just don't like that. It's just ridiculous, ridiculous. That's why we have to like resist Biden's ascendancy to his throne. Throne of Biden. Yeah. So let the Game of Thrones begin. American Game of Thrones. Yeah, I mean, but I'm being facetious, but I'm being kind of serious too. You know what I'm saying? Next 4 years can be like living hell under a dictator Biden. Yeah, I mean, I don't think any Democrats want that. Um, yeah, I mean, do you want to be like forced to wear a mask, be forced to have a vaccine? Is that what you want? I mean, I'm appealing to the Democrats in Virginia's 8th district here right now. Like vaccine that doesn't that nobody knows is 100% sure to work, and nobody knows what kind of side effects it has. Um, oh yeah, the photo behind me is Bachelor in Poland from 2019. Yeah, I'm single, so I'm trying to get married. So when I went to Poland to deliver my paper on Jewish studies at the European Association of Biblical Studies, I play a little hooky sometimes to go on dates. I dated like probably more than 15 women over like 10-day period. So I called it like Bachelor in Poland. Yes, I did give my paper on Jewish studies to a bunch of top experts of Jewish studies in Europe, like from University of Moscow, University of Geneva in Switzerland, University of Rome in Rome, in Italy, University of Cambridge, Oxford University in the United Kingdom, University of Berlin and in Germany. Yeah, they're all experts, and they respect me as an expert. That's why I go get invited to give papers in places like that. But yeah, but I'm single, so I want to get married too. So I did a little bachelor in Poland. I was going to go back, eliminate the bachelors. You know how the show is, like bachelor. But COVID-19 hit. It's 2019 August. I was going to go back like 2019 Christmas, I even had a ticket. But I started my campaign for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District for 2020 election. So I said, well, I'll go back in spring break. The spring break, like everything, COVID-19 was everywhere. Yeah. So I should have probably gone with my ticket for two weeks for Christmas time. But I did campaign hard. I went, I campaigned hard in Virginia's 8th District. So a lot of people in Virginia's 8th District shook my hand and we talked about my campaign. Yeah, I mean, so campaign wise, I did campaign hard, but yeah, certain situations prevented my name from being on the ballot, and just watch the previous episodes, because COVID-19, messed everything up. But if it weren't for COVID-19, I think I would have won. I think I would have beat Tom Byer. But yeah, but anyway, now, we are now in COVID-19. Um, so yeah, I mean, so I'm headed for 2022. I'll beat Tom Byer then. Today is National Bun Day. Um, yeah, there's such a thing. So yeah, I mean zippers are not the best. I like zipper because I'm a guy. Guys use zipper, right? But buttons, I mean, I think they had a fly with buttons in Europe. I'm like, hey man, it takes too long, unbutton one by one to go to bathroom. Oh geez, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, I prefer zipper. But I mean, button looks better than zipper sometimes, like on a sweater, like cardigan. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah. So, although jackets, I think better with zippers. So I guess there are button-friendly clothing and there are zipper-friendly clothing, right? But do you want Biden to pass a law saying everybody must wear a button? Everything must be closed by button, all the clothing. You know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? um, yeah, 1,015 COVID-19 deaths in one day in USA. That's last 24 hours. And so we have 11,190,611 people infected with COVID. I mean, our country is 330 million. So that's like less than 3% of America's infected with COVID. You think we're going to get to herd immunity at this rate? We're not going to reach herd immunity until like 2040 or 2050. And by that time, COVID-19 would have mutated so many times, you know, it becomes a like mute issue, because it's not like COVID-19 stays same for 30 years, you know what I'm saying? It mutates. It's mutated like several times just in 2020. And there are like 40 different strands. And like scientists are having a hard time keeping track of these original 40 strands, let alone they don't even know how many strands are out there now. And so many have mutated. They have like strands that are mutated to infect like these like animals in Sweden. Was it Sweden? Like minks. They're killing all the minks in Sweden. I think it was Sweden. Because now minks are these are animals, I guess. They could infect humans with COVID. Yeah. So I mean, how many mutations will it take for like your pet dogs, like in large numbers, not like one dog in a state, but like thousands of dogs to infect their masters, or maybe even like tens of thousands. I don't know, right? It could happen. You see people clapping. Recognize my brilliance. No, 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 they're clapping for the Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, which you're listening to, being performed by Russian orchestra. Nice, right? I invited, I organized when I was the vice president of University of Pennsylvania Alumni Association of Washington, D.C. I started my term from 2019 to 2020. So it's like a 1 year term. I organized, so it was like 2019 Christmas. I organized um, Nutcracker, uh, event for University of Pennsylvania Alumni Association. So like we sold out. Like I got a block ticket. Yeah. Oh, maybe they're not Russian. Maybe they're, because I heard Rotterdam. Maybe they're Dutch. Dutch are everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Sounds like Dutch. Sounds Dutch. Maybe it's not Russian. Maybe it's Dutch. I don't speak Dutch, so I don't know. But the woman on the photo, she's Dutch. She works for International Criminal Court, Hague, in Hague. Um, in Poland, where I did bachelor in uh, in Poland in 2019 August, I traveled down to Gdansk. I said, I like beach area. I'll check out Gdansk. But I guess Poland used to be like former USSR, like friendly Eastern Bloc. And people are saying like, we don't really have a beach where you swim. I'm like, what? What do you mean you don't have a beach where you swim? They're like, because it's so polluted. See why socialism is evil. You know how much I love the beach. If you've been following the show, especially in June, July, August, I had like beach specials. Yeah, go back and see the episodes. Yeah, in Poland, like they said, they don't have a beach where you could swim, really, because communist socialist era, polluted like all the beach areas. I'm like, man, remind me not to live in a communist country because I love the beach. Um, yeah, but anyway, she works for International Criminal Court, The Hague, in Hague. I guess that's what she said. I don't know. I just take her word for it. We were on a vacation. I just met her. What am I supposed to? I mean, I'm not gonna like do a background check. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we were both on vacation, so I kind of hooked up with her and spent some time, and then so you see the photo of us eating breakfast together, and then she and I we decided to take a city tour. They had like a free tour. Um, I'm a poet. I'm a poor poet. I don't have money, so anything free, fun. Hey, I'm up for that. So, um, unless the lady pays, hey, I have no problem with lady paying. I don't have that kind of hang up like some guys do. If you want to pay, yeah, sure, pay. Um, but yeah, but anyway, so she and I, we took a group tour together, and it's like a free tour. Yeah, and apparently, there are these free guided tours, like 1 hour free guided tours in a lot of European cities. I'm like, man, that's kind of neat. But anyway, so she and I, we took a tour and we did like, kind of like a double dating thing. So we hooked up with two Italians, like the Italian couple, um, and so who are on the tour. And so we share lunch together like after the tour, and we did some things together, and then yeah, and then dinner time, she the international hog, court and hog, criminal court and hog. I don't even know what she does there. For I know she could be like M, like in James Bond movies. But anyway, yeah. So we had dinner together. It was fun. Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of fun stuff. In that 10 to 14 days, they did over like 15 different women. But you see like a night to it's like a day and a half kind of thing. Right there in the photo. But yeah, so top 5 cases in Europe. Russia is number one with 1,932,711 cases, 2% death rate because not too many people died in the summer. The cases this spread. Now death rate will catch up. And European spiking, it's kind of started like late, like in September, some in August, some in October. So the death will eventually catch up like 5 to 7, 8 weeks from now. Uh, Maybe early as like 2, 3 weeks. Some places, we're already seeing it. So Russia, has 2% death rate, 33,184 deaths. France is number 2 with 1,916,462 cases, and a 2% death rate. They have 42,000. It can't be 2% death rate. It must be more than that. Well, it could be like 2 point, and it was rounded down, and Russia is rounded up, like 1.5. You know what I'm saying? So it could be like that, I guess. That's the problem of rounding things, but I don't want decimals, it's too like cluttered. So yeah, 42,606 deaths in France. And Spain has 1,400,000 96,864 cases. So at 3% death rate, 41,253 have died. United Kingdom is numero uno, number 1 in Europe for COVID-19 deaths. And they have 1,394,295 cases at 4% death rate, 52,239. I mean, United Kingdom has something like 12 or 13% death rate in April 2020. So my prediction is that it will hit that sometime in the flu season, so that you'll see that 4% become like 12%. So that's coming, I mean, we have like 6 months of flu season left. We have, look, November, December, January, February, March, April, right? April was the month of death, right, in America and in Europe. And then May, all right, where it starts to kind of, slow down. And then June, so June, that's when it starts spiking up again in America. Yeah, so let's see, it's going to be kind of interesting. Italy is number 5 with 1.2 million, right? 1,205,881 cases at 4% death rate. 45,733 people have died. Yeah. So as you can see, my focus is in Europe. That's why I have like, a bachelor in Poland. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I met so many beautiful women in Poland. And I was going to narrow them down and then give the flower to the person I want to marry. Obviously, I dated women, and they're like when you're dating, and I mean, women think about that, especially when it comes to Heerak, because I'm like very marriageable, girls like me, I don't know why, but girls see me as like someone they could spend the rest of their life with. I don't know why they see me that way, but they do. I mean, that's always been like that. And like, I have so many friends who just like fell in love with me. And I don't understand why, but they do. So, yeah, what can I say? I don't know what to say, but I said, thank you, Lord, whatever it is that I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. So yeah, the first article. I say death spike sharply in Europe. So they're already beginning to see the spiking death. So it's like ground 0 to 60 miles in like 3 seconds, kind of thing. So number 1 article, France records sharp rise in COVID-19 death, say, as Europe tightens restrictions, and that's written by staff in France 24. The number of confirmed new COVID-19 cases and deaths in France rose sharply in the last 24 hours, according to French Health Ministry data published Saturday, so it was a couple of days ago, as a number of European countries announced new restrictions to stem a deadly second wave. France registered 32,095 new COVID-19 cases over the previous 24-hour period. So at the, like they had like 10% death rate in April. If they had reached that again, it's like 3,200 of them will die, right? There's like one day's tally just in one country in Europe. So 32,095 new COVID cases over the previous 24 hours to reach a total of 1,954,599. Death in hospitals in France from COVID-19 rose by 359. So it's beginning to rise over the previous 24 hours to reach a total of 44,246 so far, according to French Health Ministry figures. Let's look at another country. This is Austria. Like, the hills are, how's that song go? Though a deer, a female deer, Sound of Music. I love Sound of Music. I don't know if you've seen it. If you have not seen Sound of Music, you need to see it. It's a good movie to sing to. A lot of the songs are like really catchy. You can sing to it. Like though a deer, a female deer, you know, the hills are something, something, something. With Sound of Music. Yeah. Um, so second article is Austria locks down with new school and shop restrictions. As you know, Heerak Christian Kim worked hard 3 months to shut down Virginia 8th District public schools. So if you live in Arlington, Alexandria Falls Church, and Fairfax County, and have children, you have me to thank if your children don't die. I mean, partly because, I've worked for 3 months to shut down Virginia's 8th District public schools. And that's why all the public schools in Virginia's 8th District, Arlington, Alexandria Falls Church, and Fairfax County public schools shut down 100% remote. Why do you think it happened? Because Heerak Christian Kim worked really, really hard to make sure that happens. Fairfax County was trying to hold out. Like even as late as July, they're like, oh, we're gonna do like blended learning. We're gonna have like them come in for 2 days, but most of the time online. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you crazy? And I like just bombasted Fairfax County Public Schools until they submitted and closed the school down. Hey, I mean, I will advocate for you. I will advocate for your children's lives. That's why I'm running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. You owe me. Well, yeah, you do. But you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, I've been working hard to save your family, keep your whole family together. Like, obviously, if your children die, your family's not together anymore because your children are dead. You know what I'm saying? So you do owe me. You know what I'm saying? Because COVID-19 spreads by people. So if Arlington County Public Schools opened up and you had to send your children to the school, they get infected and die, they got the infection from the school. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah, so you should be thankful that I worked so hard to save your children's lives. I march for your life. I march for your children's lives. Yeah, so let me continue reading here. Austria is closing schools and non-essential shops 2 weeks after a partial lockdown and nighttime curfew failed to stem the virus from spreading across the country. The new restrictions announced by Chancellor Sebastian Kurz at a news conference begin on Tuesday and run until December 6th. Free movement will also be restricted will be strictly limited to limited circumstances such as work, essential shopping, or exercise. All shops will have to close apart from food stores, pharmacies, banks, post offices, and other deemed essential. High schools and universities were already closed. This is a smart country. I like this country, Austria, because I've been trying to get Ralph Northam, governor of Virginia, to require 100% of the colleges to go online to prevent COVID proliferation. But Ralph Northam did not listen. I mean, this is why our state is like headed to COVID-19 hell, for next 6 months. I mean, you think you're okay. We have 6 months of COVID-19 hell to go. You're not okay. I mean, this is November, December, January, February, March, April. Remember April? That's when the most death happened because it kind of started in March. But now we're starting like earlier. And then May and June. So, yeah, I mean, history will exonerate me for calling on Governor Northam to close all the colleges down. History will exonerate me as being correct, as being the champion of the lives of Virginians. Yeah, I mean, I'm like certain of that because look at the number of people who are dying, right? Only way you're going to stop this COVID-19 is by stopping socialization that that occurs in schools that are require socializations, right? In a way, it's like you're requiring them to go to a classroom with COVID-19, even if they don't want to. It's like mandatory, right? Like you're requiring them to go to school. Like if you don't go to school, you're gonna like mark them absent. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm like, that's not fair. Like in a global pandemic, to require students to go to school against their own self-interest of survival, it's just not fair. You know what I mean? It's not fair to their parents. It's not fair to the children. And so I'm about freedom. I want people to be free to do what they want. Like when you open the schools and say you have to come to school, even though there's COVID-19 everywhere and killing everywhere, that is not freedom. That is coercion. This, do you see? I'm consistent in what I'm saying, right? I want you to be free, right? I want you to be free from trying to incriminate yourself, trying to destroy yourself, trying to kill yourself by going to a classroom filled with COVID-19. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I march for your life. What motivates is your life. So you should not be forced to do anything that's going to compromise your life, your survival as a living organism, right? Biological dictate is to survive, right? There's the greatest dictate of any living organism is to survive. And you're not going to do that when you force them to go to school when there's a lot of COVID-19. You're like forcing them to abandon their biological dictate to survive. Do you see why I don't like anything that is going to enslave you to anything? Do you see what I'm saying? Um, private schools are, are similar too, I guess, but you can always pull students out of private schools if you don't want. Um, I mean, yeah, you got to figure out ways to like give people freedom, right? And some schools say, well, if you want to go into classroom, you go in. If you do want to do online, you do online. At least that's not as bad as like forcing everybody to go to a classroom. But the problem with that is like then you have like problems in educational system, right? You're like telling you're saying you come in if you want, you don't have to come in if you don't want. It creates a disparity. And as you know, I'm all about reducing disparity in education. So that's why I support going 100% online. That way you're not creating any disparity one way or another, right? Uh, you know what I mean? How can you say you support equality and reducing disparity when you want to create an educational system where some students go to class, some students don't go to class? You know what I'm saying? That's why going 100% online is the rational thing to do to reduce disparity and provide excellent education to everyone while protecting their life. You see what I'm saying? Do you see Joe Biden talking about that? No, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's like, he's just all he cares about is like that inauguration. That's why Joe Biden just rubs me the wrong way because I get the impression he doesn't really care about Americans. Um, what has he said that actually shows you that he cares about you? No, all I'm saying is asking you, to think on your own. I mean, do you think Joe Biden really cares about you and your family? I mean, I don't know. If you say yes, well, more power to you. But I think everybody needs to ask that question. Um, Third article. Um, Italy's hospitals face rising pressure from coronavirus. So Italy has problems too, and this is written by Eric Silvers in Wall Street Journal. So the quote is, the fast rising number of coronavirus patients in Italy's intensive care wards is on pace to soon surpass this spring's deadly first peak of the pandemic, raising anxiety in a country that is locking down more regions. You have to like that. That's the only way to survive. Remember, COVID-19 is a living organism as well. So its biological dictate is to survive. Only way COVID-19 is going to survive is by infecting more people, right? Right? If you could get like people like isolated enough that COVID-19 doesn't spread, COVID-19 can die in a region, right? Like, you know, you go to certain Asia, you know, there's like nobody dying from COVID right now because they've locked down so thoroughly that they've stopped the person-to-person infection. So COVID-19 is kind of dead in certain areas, right? Because only way COVID-19 is going to survive is with a human host, right? And it can't survive with a human host if humans don't meet each other. You see what I'm saying? Um, so only way humans can win is by isolating, meaning like locking yourself down in your own home and not going out of your house if you don't have to. That's the only way you're going to survive. So yeah, I mean, you know, do you want to survive or not? That ultimately, you know, that has to come to the question. Some people don't care. You know, some people go to bungee jumping, some people go scuba diving, as I said. You know, you know, thrills in life is more important than survival. You know, for some, and that's what separates us humans from animals, right? Animals are 100% guided by survival. Humans, not so much. We are guided by survival, but there's this other impetus, right? Like desire to have fun, desire to have sex with a woman, that causes you to have take risks that you should not take, right? But that's just that's what separates us from non-human animals. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not going to have lions risking themselves just to have sex with. Well, actually, they do. Like if you look at the animal kingdom, they fight each other to have sex with a female. But and you know, I think that's still different from like taking unnecessary risk, like you know, like jumping off a cliff onto a water that's like 30 feet deep just to impress a girl. Tigers don't do that. Lions don't do that. You know, animals don't do that. They don't try to impress a lady. They do fight other males for dominance, so they could have sex with a female lioness or whatever. And you see that in among males in human species as well. But human males sometimes do stupid
Katja
things.
en Mariella Beck met Capriccio Italiaan voor piano 4 handen door Tchaikovsky zelf
Which language
bewerkt.
is that?
Welkom terug in de grote zaal van de
Sounds
Doelen in Rotterdam
Dutch.
voor een speciaal concert in kerstsferen door het Rotterdamse Philharmonisch Orkest,
See,
de
Rotterdam.
Notenkraker van Tchaikovsky. En u kunt dit concert niet alleen horen op Radio 4, maar ook zien op radio4.nl. Voor de pauze, in het allerlaatste deel van de eerste acte van de Notenkraker, wil ik nog even op terugkomen.
Hating all
Jongenskoor,
Dutch
2
people.
jongenskoren, 1
Hating all
jongenskoor
Dutch
uit
people. Is
Rijnmond,
that
Rivierenland
Dutch?
en het andere uit het Waterland. Dan heb ik dat maar even gezegd. Tchaikovsky zat dus in Frankrijk toen hij aan de dubbele opdracht van een
That's
opera
France,
en een
right?
ballet moest werken. Hij vond het scenario van het ballet maar niks en liet dat ook merken in een brief aan de directeur van het Mariinsky Theater in Sint-Petersburg, waar de première ging plaatsvinden. De volgende dag bereikte hem heel ander, heel verdrietig nieuws. Zijn
Yeah,
zusje
people
Sasha
say
was
memories of me
overleden.
flying KLM to
1 dag
Israel.
later moest hij aan boord van de
I
boot
lived in
naar New
Israel for
York.
over 3
En in een
years,
dagboek dat hij
and
tijdens de
I
tocht
always like
bijhield,
flew
schreef
like
Tchaikovsky dat
KLM.
hij, net als na
So I
zijn
could have a
rampzalige
stopover
moord,
like in
zich
Amsterdam
niet
because we
zichzelf
visit Van
vond.
Gogh Museum,
Alsof
one
hij
of my
een ander
favorite
mens was.
museums.
Gedachten aan Sasha en de
And you know,
herinneringen
Amsterdam
uit
is an
het
interesting
ver
city. They have a
verleden.
lot of little
En
art
dat
museums, you
leek
know.
zich op de muziek
The
bij de
Jewish
Notenkraker een
Museum
beetje
is
te
pretty interesting
projecteren.
too.
Tchaikovsky had een hekel aan de benaming
Oh, there's a lot
confituur
of
aan boord.
talking. Where's the
Het
music?
koninkrijk
Where's the
der
music?
zoetigheden, waar Clara en de Notenkrakerprins naartoe
Yeah,
gaan.
I mean, you
Maar het
know,
zou best kunnen dat Tchaikovsky in confituur aan boord de plek zag waar zijn zusje had gewoond met man en kinderen en waar Piotr een warme familie had om af en toe naartoe te gaan. De herinnering aan Sasha zelf is vormgegeven in de suikervee. Aan het begin van
well,
haar
they're
dans
like praising
introduceert
every
Tchaikovsky
single,
het
must be
ritme van
praising every
muziek
single
bij een
person in the
ontgroeningsen
orchestra.
begrafenisdienst.
You know what I'm saying?
Confituur aan boord was misschien niet meer zo de
You
doorn
know,
in het
like
oog van Tchaikovsky, maar een
even the
manier om te
conductor's
zingen
cat.
voor de geest van zusje
I
Sasha.
don't know what they're saying. I don't know Dutch. So, you know, hopefully they're not like cursing at me or anything. No, I'm just kidding.
De tweede acte
You
begint
know how
dus
when
met
people speak
betoverde
foreign
Paleis,
languages around
aan
you,
boord het
you know, you're
koninkrijk
like,
der zoetigheden,
what are they saying? Are they
hier
talking about me?
regeert de
You know,
suikervee
I think that's like a
ten
common
gunste van de
human
prins.
feeling.
Clara en de prins komen aan en de prins vertelt over hoe hij werd gered van de muizenkoning door het heldhaftige optreden van Clara. Ter
Wow, that's
ere
like
van haar
really
wordt er een
long.
feest gegeven met
But anyway, let's
dansende
continue
delegatessen
on.
uit de
I may
hele
have to
wereld.
drown out the beautiful
Chocolade
Dutch
uit
lady in
Spanje,
the background,
koffie uit Arabië en
who's
thee uit
talking about
China.
something about the
Hierna dansen
orchestra.
zuurstokjes de typische Russische
So let me
rubrica.
just go back to the
En
front.
dan komen
The fast rising number of coronavirus patients in Italy's intensive care wards is on pace to soon surpass this spring's deadly first peak of pandemic, raising anxiety in a country that is locking down more regions. Although social distancing measures have reduced the speed of the increase in hospitalization in the past few days, Italy is still on course to have more COVID-19 patients in intensive care by the last week of November. We're just talking about November here. We're not talking about December. By the last week of November, then the 4,068 reached in April. That was at their height of hospitalization. Look at this. We have November to go, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. You're telling me that a million people will not die in Italy by June 2021? I mean, are you telling me that like we're not going to have like massive death in Italy when already in November we reached the hospitalization level of November of April? I mean, geez, this is only November. I mean, we have like exponential growth. It's not like it's going to go up like this. It's going to go up like this. It's going to go like this. It's going to go like this. I mean, you know, you should not be surprised with a million people in Italy dying by June 2021 because it's going to go like this. That's right. It's not like it's going to go up like that. It's going to go like this. Not only that, Austria too, and France. Viva la France! I mean, Dutch people. One thing is that Dutch people don't have that many people, so I guess they could have a million people die. You know, but I mean, but you know, I mean, yeah, you know, you could lose 1/3 of your country, especially in Europe, where you know countries are really small. I mean, we have 6 months to go. You know, it's not like America. Like if you go to Iowa, people live so far apart, like outside of the cities. I mean, how can they get COVID? You know, if they just stay in their farm. You know what I'm saying? But like in Europe, I mean, everybody's like crowded together everywhere. I mean, it's like death beginning to happen, beginning, you know, death is going to happen in Europe, you know. And that's why, you know, we have a lot of people dying in Europe because everybody's living crunched up. Like if you live in an apartment unit, you know, like have you been to a European apartment? They're like they're like mini apartments compared to American apartments. Like American apartments are big, you know, it's spacious. You go to European apartments, it's like mini me. Like you're like, no wonder Europeans are so thin, you know, because you can't fit into these apartments in Europe if you're like American size. You know, hey, I'm an American size. That's what I say. Although I feel like I should lose some weight, but you know what I'm saying? You know, you go to Europe, you have to go to Europe to know what I mean. Everything is like small. Cars are small. How do people get into fit into those small little cars in Europe? You know what I'm saying? But yeah. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, I don't know how I got to that. But yeah, you know, as you know, this is a daily show, so I'll bring you you know more important facts and figures about COVID-19 tomorrow. So tune in for tomorrow's show. Yeah, don't let the excitement end. Yeah, so I hope you have a nice day tomorrow. And then, you know, unwind to COVID-19 update by Heerak. It's a show that keeps giving. You know, you learn something new about COVID-19, helps you survive, and you enjoy the experience, right? Yeah, what can I say? All those clubs are for me. No, no, they're not. You know, there's background. Apparently, Dutch orchestra performing. You know, Nutcracker. But I don't know. Strangely, that coincides with like clap moments. You know, in my show. So it's like show within a show. Oh, what a nice way to end today's show. You know, no, yeah. Well, I hope your family will be well, and that your children will be well, and that you will be well. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.